man. You couldn't have said it any better than me on TV.
Well, you do say it well on TV. How are things? How is everything?
Everything's doing good, man. You doing good?
I can't complain. And as I said coming in, and we'll get to Nutrisystem in a minute, you are the perfect guy to talk about Sam Darnold because nobody came in and played better right off the bat than you did. You were with a good team and a legendary coach, but you hit the ground running. Tell the fans what Sam has to do to have a nice start.
I think thinking about this whole thing, I mean, he's young. I was a little older than he is now. But I think it's really for him, he has to come in, and the coaches have to understand they got to be patient with him. He's got to be patient, not to force things right away and, hey, to feel like I got to be, the best player in the NFL right away today in this first game, this opening game, do so many things. Let the players around you make plays for you, be patient with it. But at the same time, know and understand that as time goes on, you're going to have to be the guy that steps up and does things. And then the big thing was for me, because I had a pretty good group around me that went to the Super Bowl the year before. So we had some young players too, a good mixture with, Duper and Clayton. And then we had, veteran receivers, Nat Moore, other guys like that, and a pretty darn good defense. So, we were a team that had a lot of veteran players that were good. So I was fortunate from that standpoint to have, a group around me where I could be a little patient and let the other guys make plays for me.
You're being modest. You hit the ground, and you were in a time when people didn't give rookies a lot of chance to play, and you hit the ground. People were like, "Wow, this guy's unbelievable." I remember that really changed people's thinking a little bit towards that. Dan, how about, is it overrated to say the guy Namath made the point he's got to command the room? Is that overrated, or is that a big part of it?
I think it's a part of it. I think you command the room, especially when you're young, by it's not experience they look at, it's about productivity. So he can come in and produce, win some games for him, show that, he's a guy that as time goes on, he's going to develop into something special, which I think, that's what the Jets are feeling with him because they drafted him so high. So, yeah, I mean, command the room is fine. I mean, be a guy that can communicate and understand and being able to communicate how you feel to the other players. All that's important, but really it's about performance. If you perform, guys are going to follow you.
What are you expecting from the Dolphins this year, Dan?
I feel like we got a pretty good team. There's a lot of people aren't feel like we got a lot of growing to do, and I think there's a lot of young players on our team, but we got some really talented ones that could develop as the year goes on, and I feel pretty good about it.
So, people aren't saying really a lot about the Dolphins. It's unusual because the Dolphins usually are a franchise that people are never really down on. I mean, because they're one of those franchises that people expect good things from almost every year. This year, people aren't expecting a whole lot from the Dolphins.
Well, a lot of times when people from around the country look at it, they'll look at one thing that, Ryan Tannehill was not, healthy last year. He's coming off an operation, and it's been a long time since he started. It's been, 20 months, and this will be the first full game this weekend that he plays in a long time. But, he's really worked hard this offseason. You could see all the OTAs, everything he's done. He's been gearing up to get ready to play and have a great year, and, I believe he will.
We're talking with the legendary Dan Marino as we get ready to kick off this season. You see these quarterbacks last forever now, Dan. What you played a long time, you and Elway and the guys in that generation all lasted a very long time. How about some of these guys now that are just ageless, like Brady and Breeze and Eli and stuff? They go on forever.
Yeah, you know what it is? It is amazing. I give those guys credit, and I think it's, I played 17 years, and I thought that was a long time. Now guys are playing a lot longer than that. Yeah, a lot longer than that. And I think it really has to do with maybe the rules some, but also the fact that, the way the game is and the sports science and how they take care of their body, and, maybe they're not taking as many hits as they get older as they would have, years ago because the rules have changed some, and just the fact that they understand the game. They're not taking the big hits. They're getting rid of the ball. They get the ball out quick. Brady gets it out quick. Drew Brees gets it out quick. So, that's it's an important factor in being healthy. Believe me.
What did you need to get ready for a season? I mean, you obviously people who know the legend of Dan Marino, but didn't see him play, one of the great throwers of all time, one of the great classic quarterbacks. Were you ready without a lot of work, or did you need a lot of work? Did you throw a lot in preseason? Did you want to throw a lot in preseason?
Yeah, sometimes I felt like they didn't give me, didn't give you enough work because they're always afraid that, of injury or anything happening. But I always like to get at least, one game in, 4 quarters. And usually most of that was in the third preseason game. So not much different than, what they're doing now. But some guys are even playing less than that. But I used to like to get that to at least feel like I've been hit before. I've been in some situations. I've come out of the locker room and, in the second half and had a series, and then that was it, that kind of thing, just to get, kind of what it is. It's a dress rehearsal, so that's what it is, and you want to get that feeling and confidence so when you're ready, for the first game.
Training camp has changed so much now. I would think it probably got to be a month before you know what you have now. I mean, you guys used to play, training camp was real in those days. Now these guys are never on the field in training camp.
Oh, no, it was real. I mean, you're talking about, 2 a day. So
yep.
Guys are only practicing once a day, and they have walkthroughs and other things. But, the 2 a days is a real deal when you're doing that for a couple weeks in a row. You get a lot of work in. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's why it's so important, the mental part of the game now, because guys don't get the field work as much as they did in years past. So that's an important. You got to have guys that understand what they're doing, know what they're doing, understand the situations they're in, like the game situations.
Do you think you expecting the same kind of year from the Patriots, or do you see some slippage?
Well, look, as long as the continuity, if you look at over the years, all the good teams, when you have a great quarterback and you have a great coach, the continuity of those two, it gives you a chance to win and be good all the time. And that's really been the case, with the Patriots for sure.
Dan's been a spokesman for Nutrisystem for a long time. All right, Nutrisystem, it's a depressing thought, Dan, that guys are going to gain 10 pounds for the average on a football season. I mean, so you got to hit that off before the season starts. That is a depressing stat.
I know it is depressing, right? But it's true. Those guys want to go out and drink beer, eat nachos, watch the game, and that's part of it. But the good thing, I've been working with Nutrisystem over 10 years now, and it really works. I mean, it's you eat the food, you lose the weight, and for men, it comes right to your door. There's not all the different programs making phone calls. They give you a list how to eat it. You eat it, you lose the weight. And the thing is, it changes people's lives. That's the cool part. There's a lot of guys I've worked with, or I've talked to people, you see them in airports, whoever it may be, and they'll come up to me and say, hey, I lost 20 pounds on Nutrisystem. I'm healthier. I feel better. I feel good about what I'm doing in life. And, that makes a big difference. And it's happened to a lot of people. So it's been good.
Go to Nutrisystems.com and get started today. Do you miss the broadcasting? I know you don't miss the travel probably, but do you miss the broadcasting?
Yeah, I miss it sometimes. It was a really lot of fun. I was with a really good group of guys, and I did enjoy it, but I'm enjoying being around the team now and being around players.
All right, well, listen, good luck this year with your team.
Thanks, Mike.
Keep up the good work. Good to talk to you as always. See you along the way. Thanks very much.
You got it. I'll see you, man. Thanks,
Okay,
brother.
thank you. Dan Marino, Nutrisystems.com. He has been doing that for a long time, and now obviously with the Dolphins, after spending plenty of years with the guys on TV, doing that too. The one thing that guys don't like is traveling all the time, which they have to do when you broadcast. All right, let's get a couple of calls in here. John in Brooklyn. What's up, John?
Hey, Mike, how are you today?
Good. What's happening?
Question for you. I look at the Yankees, okay, and I don't think they're going to beat Boston if they go through the wild card, or Houston, because they have to go through Chris Sale and Verlander, and they have a tough time with the both of them. But it drives me crazy that when you watch this Yankee team with the bases loaded and less than 2 outs, they got something like 100 average. They basically get a couple of fly balls, sacrifices, but no clear-cut rallies, no nothing. I don't know why that happens. Is it something psychological with them now?
No, John, they got a lot of sluggers. Listen, let's be honest. The Red Sox have a lot of guys who put the bat on the ball. They got 300 hitters. They got 2 guys hitting in the 330s. They got guys who have high on-base percentages. They got guys who work counts. They run a little bit also. They run more than a little bit against the Yankees. They embarrassed them last time they played them, stealing bases. But the Yankees are and have been very much a feast of famine team. You know, they're not a first or third team. They're not a situational team. They got a bunch of boppers. They got a bunch of big sluggers, and they strike out a lot. And, you know, everybody strikes out a lot now, but Yankees got a lot of guys. I mean, you know, their leadoff hitter strikes out 100 times. They got guys in the middle of the lineup who strike out 180 times. I mean, so they are not gonna use the out, and that's the biggest thing that they don't do. They don't situational hit, and they don't have constructive outs. They don't. Okay. And in the old days, you know, you used outs to move runners. You moved outs for sac flies. Yankees don't do a whole lot of that. They basically hit a lot of home runs is what they do.
Okay, but my question to you again now that you bring that up, okay? Yeah. They have a lot of young guys right now. Right. How do you change that philosophy with all these young guys?
Oh, easy. I mean, with guys like Torres, who is pretty good at in my mind, he is their best situational guy in a big spot. I'd rather have him up than anybody in that lineup because he will. Now, he's gotten into he got a little pull happy for a little while there. He started to hit a lot of home runs. He got a little pull happy. But when he's got a big at bat, he'll take the ball to right field. He'll lay off the pitch that's out of the strike zone. Guys like, as good as Judge is, he's not a great plate discipline guy. As good as Stanton, and Stanton's a guy who hits the ball very hard, as we know. I mean, they spend so much time showing you Stanton's line drive singles and how hard they were hit. Who cares? I mean, I don't care if it's a blooper or a line drive. What do I care? If it's a single, it's a single. But Stanton's a feast of famine player. That's what he is. He's going to look really bad sometimes. He's going to hit the ball 9 miles sometimes. They don't have enough situational hitters. And you like the Yankee team, as did I, that had guys who worked at bats. Okay? So, you know, you go to the classic Yankee rally, 2003, Pedro, 5-2 down, and you get Jeter, who hits a line drive to right field that trots you to court. It goes over his head. Now you got a double. You got Bernie, who's saying, okay, now I'm going to work the count. I'm going to work this here, you know, and get things going. A walk puts 2 guys on base, get things going. Instead, what does he do? He hits a line drive to center field. Now he's on first base, and you got to run in the bank. Now it's 5-3. All right, so instead of an out and Bernie up, you got a guy in and a runner at first, and Matsui rings a double inside the first base bag. He's a clutch hitter. Now you got second and third, and next thing you know, you got Jorge dump one into the outfield, and you're 5-5. I mean, so it was a ball that should have been caught, a line drive base hit the center, a line drive inside the first base bag, and then a bloop, and now it's 5-5. No home runs, no 450-foot shots, but guys putting the bat on the ball, guys had an idea when they went to the plate. So whether it was Paul O'Neill working a walk against Benitez or, Bernie getting a big base hit. And Bernie did it with a home run in the playoffs a lot. We know that. But the point is, they were very good at situational hitting, and it made a big difference. It really did. Steve in Howard Beach. What's up, Steve?
Hi, my couple points on this Khalil Mack deal. I am on the Raiders side with this 100%. Here's why.
The Raiders side?
Number one, I absolutely 100%.
Why?
Now, here's why. His salary represents a shade under 7% of the entire salary cap. That's one. Number two, they get 2 first-round picks back. I understand they give away a second, but they also get more players. For a player that in all likelihood leaves at the end of the season without getting anything back.
You know what Gruden did? Gruden did 2 things here. Number one, he proved that it's his team. Okay, so the showdown.
That was my number 3.
He proved it was his team. That was his first thing he wanted to do. And number 2, now he took the expectations for the first year and threw them in the garbage because now, wait a second, I have 2 number 1s next year and a year after, and I gave up the best defensive player in the league, so how do you expect me to win this year? You don't. So he took all the expectations for this year with a team that would have had expectations. He has no expectations this year, and he shows that he's the law. So he now made it a long-term thing, and he made this year a no-pressure zone for himself. You know what? There are guys, Steve, that you have to work with in this league if you're a coach. And he was one of those guys. This was a special player. He was a guy who never missed a down. He's an every down player. He played great every down. Now, I know people said, the Raiders weren't a good defensive team with him. That's not his fault that they did. Dick Butkus was on a team. Dick Butkus was on a team. Dick Butkus was on a team that won one game. You think that was Dick Butkus' fault? Or the people around him and the coaching staff? The Raiders weren't coached well. That's not Khalil Mack's fault that they weren't coached well. Or the fact that they never put any, guys in the secondary around him. That's not his fault. He played brilliantly all the time. Where would they have been without him? This is a guy who can change games. Players who can change games, change field position, change games, demand double teams are incredibly rare. I would not give you the package the Bears gave for any other defensive player in the league except Mack. That's it. The only guy. No other guy. Zero. It's the right age, the right guy, the right temperament, and everything. But Gruden saw it as, he's not going to challenge me. Now, you saw there was a great division here, too, because Reggie McKenzie said it was not in our plan to trade him. It was never in our plan to trade him. We just want him to come to camp. So, basically, there was a division there between Gruden and McKenzie, which is what Gruden does, too. Gruden divides and conquers. But remember this about Gruden. One thing. Gruden's got his reputation, Chucky, the whole thing. Gruden hasn't coached in a decade, which is a big issue, bigger than people think. His last 6 years, he didn't win a playoff game. Last 6 years he coached, he didn't win a playoff game. Went to the playoffs twice, didn't win a playoff game. So he's got a lot of work to do. And he gave up, I think, a great player, and there are very few players I think are great. Now, other than a quarterback, there's not a guy in the league I would have given you that package for except him, because he's a game changer. He completely changes the game, and there are very few guys who change the game. Chris in Brooklyn, what's up, Chris?
Mike?
Yes.
Happy that you're back, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. What's happening?
Mike, I wanted to ask you a question, this question for a long time, regarding the Rams, right?
Right.
When Jeff Fisher got fired, I didn't even, it was such a surprise. I don't even know if maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he wore out as well. Listen, I always had a good relationship with Fisher. I liked him personally, but he wore out his welcome there. He really did. He deserved to go. They gave him enough time. He definitely had enough time to get things straightened out. He didn't do a good job at the end.
The Rams are so good now. They can play. They can almost beat any team.
Yeah,
right?
I think they're a little overrated. I mean, a lot of people are picking them to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're a Super Bowl team yet. I think they're good. I like the coach. I think the coach is a very interesting and promising young coach, but I do not think they're ready to win the Super Bowl yet. I still think they're a better teams this year.
I agree, Mike. I agree. But is Jeff Fisher's thumbprint on that team?
No, that's not fair anymore. Listen. The guy last year, the kid came and changed the whole culture of the team. He's young. People were surprised how, whether he could coach as a head coach at that age. He did it. He did it very well. He's an impressive young coach. Very impressive. I thought that team was very impressive physically. I thought they were very impressive in their schematics last year. I thought they were a very impressive team. But I do not think they are a Super Bowl championship team. I know everyone was jumping on them in the playoffs last year. I didn't expect them to get there last year. I don't expect them to get there this year. I think I think they could be a playoff team this year. The question is, how far is Seattle going to slip? That's really the question. I mean, that's the one you got to answer there, is how far is Seattle going to slip? Are they going to slip anywhere near as far as some people predict? Are they going to be 9-7? They're going to be 8-8. They're going to be out of it. They're going to be 6-10. What's going to be with Seattle? That's the question. Back after this.